I've got another viewer question. If you want your question answered, go ahead, leave it below in the comments of any of my videos, and if it's good enough, I'll make a video. This person writes in, I'm in a smaller gym and I have about 9 people I consistently train with. 3 blue belts, 1 white belt that wrestled for several years, and 2 white belts that have been training for 8 months, yada yada yada. We have smaller classes, anywhere from 3 to 6 people per class, and this allows for more personal coaching time. Do you think the lack of training partners would outweigh the benefits of more personal coaching? On occasion, we have people that come in from different gyms and even different martial arts, i.e. Sambo or other grapplers. Thank you very much. Also, I've been a blue belt for 8 months. Cool. So, essentially what this question is asking is, do the benefits of a more personal coaching environment outweigh the negatives of not having a diverse set of training partners? I'm going to compare and contrast the pros and cons, and at the end of the video I'll give my tips for making a situation like the viewer wrote, where you're training at a smaller gym, and how to take advantage of it. The first underrated pitfall of a small classroom size is actually whether or not the gym can be self-sustaining. So the fact of the matter is, the bills have to get paid in some way, shape, or form. And if the head coach is only pulling in classes of, maybe 10 people, I think you can do the math on how much your membership is, times that by 10, and whether or not someone can, afford to keep this going. If there are larger class sizes, your coach is going to be able to invest more time in it simply because it can pay his bills. If they are sort of working as an electrician in the day, and then they've only got a little bit of time to invest in the jiu-jitsu during the night, they can still run an excellent program, but sometimes jiu-jitsu is going to have to take a sidefall, and I've seen programs essentially fall apart because they're not self-sustaining. So you got to watch out for that. But let's ignore that and say the gym is going to continue to be a place for you to train at. What are some of the downsides of a smaller classroom environment? Some of the downsides essentially are going to be the lack of training partners to test your game on. So if you have a really large room of like 30 plus people, there's going to be all different skill levels in there. Even if everyone starts out at the same pace, eventually there'll be different skill levels and different sizes, and it seems like you already do have experience level variance in your gym. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, because 10 is enough to get all of the training you possibly need. If you have people who are better than you, hopefully your instructor who will still roll, people who are as good as you, maybe the people who are similar weight and skill level, and people who you are better than, maybe the lower experienced or the lighter people, you can do all 3 of those to test your moves, to develop your offense on the people who are worse than you, test your A game against the people who are better than you, and then see where you need to improve upon against the people who smash you. And if this is just one person, it's your coach, it's totally fine. You can make that work. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But on the other hand, with such a small room, everybody's going to learn your game very quickly, and you're not always going to have the most realistic reactions of what people will do. For example, if you have a specific armbar setup that you have been working on with your partner for the past 6 months, they obviously know that armbar setup inside and out, because if you have hit it on them a bunch of times, you've drilled it, you've talked about it. But when you go into a competition, which is going to be another tip for minimizing the effect of a small training environment, your setups might work way better because the people don't necessarily see them coming. So that's a pro, and one way to overcome the lack of training partners. If you really want to test your game and see where you're at, and you're absolutely trying to get the most out of this, sign up for competitions. You can compete pretty frequently if that's something you want to do, and in each competition set out a specific game plan of moves you've been testing. Try to execute them in competition. If they work, cool. If they don't, look at where they didn't work, try to fix it in the gym, then go back out there and test in competitions. So it doesn't matter how small the room is, you'll always have a wide variety of training partners just because you can go to the different competitions. Now, another thing you could do is find a different training space. You mentioned some people come in from other martial arts. I did training with judo at the same time as jiu-jitsu for a while. It was really cool because I could practice my jiu-jitsu moves in the judo class when we were sparring on the ground, and there would be crossover and there'd be different bodies and different people to work with. So that very much is a pro of having a larger training environment, is the variance of people and their skill levels, because you can really use that to develop your moves. This is something that I do all the time. If I have access to a few different locations, which I currently do, whether or not it's a place I'm coaching at, a place I'm training at, an affiliate location, a competition, go and roll with the different kinds of people, and the more different looks you get, honestly, you will develop faster as a grappler. So another way to overcome having the small training environment, if you want more exposure to different styles, is to try to drop in at other gyms. You could do that once a month. That would be totally enough to get exposure to different styles. You can also go online and research different instructionals. You can find a couple different techniques from head instructors at like really well-known gyms. There's a lot of great stuff out there, but don't get too lost in the sauce of like learning a whole bunch of stuff. I would focus on a specific position or series more than like a month or so before moving on to another thing. It's cool to know a bunch of stuff, but really one sharp knife is better than 1,000 dull ones. So that's my personal recommendation. Other than going to competitions, dropping in at other gyms, and getting outside information, that's essentially all you can do. And the other part of this question is, what are your goals when it comes to training? Because if your goal is to absolutely maximize skill development in the shortest period of time, some of those tips that I shared are going to help. But if your goal is just to have a great training environment with some friends who you work out with, who you can, go and get food every now and then and just have a great place to hang out other than your home, that's totally fine. Not everything has to be about maximal skill development in the shortest period of time. But assuming that's your goal, you can even find a happy medium between those two. Maybe you enjoy training for all those other benefits, but you want to get your skill better because it's cool to get good at something and you want to get better a little bit faster. Just implement some of those tips. Sign up for some competitions to get different looks, cross-train at different gyms, look at other information. All those things will help. Also drink kombucha. It's good for your tummy, and support the channel. If you have a question of your own, you can drop it below in the comments of any of my videos. If it's good enough, I might make a response. Liking the videos, sharing the videos, subscribing, growing the channel helps me a ton so I can keep making content for you guys. Peace.